Hey, welcome back to Soul Talk with me and Osman. Now, this is a podcast where we dive into meaningful personal conversations that go beyond the surface, where we talk about resilience, growth, and the human side of our journeys in sports and in life. Now, today I'm really excited because we have a very special guest, someone I've known for a very long time, even back when I was still competing in MMA and one championship. We always crossed each other. I've trained with him as well. Now, if you're part of the Jiu-Jitsu community in Malaysia, you definitely know him. He's the head coach of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at Hitari MMA, and he's been teaching here in Malaysia for, I think, if not 10 years, more than that. And just recently became the IBJJF World Champion. So please welcome to Soul Talk, Professor Bruno Barbosa. Bruno, thank you so much for spending time with us
Oh,
today.
hello, Ann. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really excited to be here. I really love interviews. Like in speaking to you is like a great opportunity. Especially that you mentioned that like we know each other for a long time. That's true. Like I used to admire your commitment, your discipline, your like fearless attitudes on the ring. Like it was beautiful to watch you fight. Like so. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Now, let's start from the beginning because, a lot of people know who you are today, but I mean, you've probably done so many different interviews. We want to know who Bruno is, like from back in Brazil, where you're from. What was your journey in getting into jiu-jitsu like?
Yeah. So, bro, I was always like this. Very active kid back in Brazil. I grew up in the favelas and the slums of Brazil. We are, and also like in the 80s and 90s, like we can play outside. We do a lot of outside activities. So, I used to watch like those kung fu moves, Jet Li, Jack Chan, like back in the past, we used to watch it. And then, of course, like every Brazilian kid, I just wanted to play football, but that was apparently not my thing. And I remember to watch the Olympic Games and see the athletes receiving the medals and like going on the podium, then they play the national anthem of the country or whatever. So that for me, that's the image that I have engraved in my mind, like that the athlete like was a special being for just being on the podium, like it doesn't matter if it's like third, second, or first place. That everybody look at them as
Mm,
like like superheroes or super athletes or whatever. And then for some reason I started like I want to be like these guys, on the podium receiving medals. It's like for me, I used to see that like such an honor, and then I just wanted to be, I wanted to be that guy, that person. So I started looking for sports that would give me the opportunity, like to achieve that. So unfortunately, in football, I didn't have the chance to do it. Uh, it was according to the coach, I was not talented enough. So he just called my mom and said they didn't want me there because I was not. It was not football was not my thing. And then there was a
uh-huh.
guy teaching kung fu near my house, and then we started doing kung fu because we have a lot of like we have NGO, a lot of NGO that comes to help the unprivileged kids. Like I mean, back then I had like a good childhood. Like my parents they struggled, but I never starved. Like we always have like the
Mm,
simple stuff. And then, but we never worry about that, like, because this is our reality, it's what we have. And then my reality was like similar to my neighbor and my cousin and my
mhm,
other friends. So then we all started going to this place to train kung fu, which was free. You just have to pay like maybe like example at that time was around like 10 ringgit just to support the electricity. And then we did kung fu, but there was no competition back then at that time. So
mhm,
then eventually I ended up joining judo for a couple months and capoeira,
mhm.
of course. Capoeira was free everywhere, and then doesn't require very much like uniforms. You don't have to have special shoes. You don't have to wear gi, just like a sweatpants. You're good, and a t-shirt. That's all. It's fine. So there's always someone training, teaching for free, just to help the kids to get out of trouble, to don't get involved with drug dealing, and then to start taking drugs. So there was always someone trying to keep the kids out of those the crime, um, which was very
Which
tough
area?
because
Which area of
in Rio.
Brazil? In Rio.
So I'm from the yeah, but in Rio, but I'm like 40 minutes away from Rio City, the famous Rio that everybody knows. So I'm about
Mm-hmm.
40 minutes, 1 hour away, uphill. So my city is called Petropolis. It's in the mountain of
Petropolis.
Rio de Janeiro. Yeah, that's where the Helio Gracie farm is located, you know, in my city. And Petropolis means city of Pedro in Greek because the emperor of Brazil, his name was Pedro. So they built the
Mm-hmm.
city for him. So my city was a very special city because the
Mm-hmm.
emperor used to live there during summertime. Yeah, and then I ended up doing a couple of sports, like a couple of martial arts, capoeira. And then I used to be bullied in school because I used to do all those martial arts, but I was still not able to defend myself. So I was bullied because I was too skinny. Um, so my shoes, my clothes was not like high quality, like so because we couldn't afford. And then I used to get beat up while I was doing martial arts, and I think because I was afraid of hurting people because I thought I was like I
Mm-hmm.
can hurt them, so that can be a
Mm-hmm.
problem. So I
The kids that were training with you, or they were kids who are, part of this, like
no,
your
in school from
schoolmates?
school, but they were my
Mm-hmm.
friends, like they were the friends that I had, and I see them as a friend. So another thing is like that because we afraid to engage in a fight, and then I didn't have many friends, and I thought oh, those guys they are my friends. That's just the way they play. But there was someone
Mm-hmm.
stronger than me who was weaker, but then they bullied me, and I had to bully someone smaller. And then there was this guy that I remember I smacked his head, and he said, "Oh, if you come to my gym, I will show you what is the reality." I was like, "What are you talking about?" So yeah, come to my gym. And then I was like, "Okay." So when I went to his gym, I
What
still
age was
remember
this?
I was 16 years old.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I was 43 kilograms. Like, so I tell people don't believe. I was 43 kilo. And then I entered this gym. There was like a lot of trophies and medals on the wall, hanging on the wall. I was like, wow. So I remember I back like, oh, medals, trophies. That's what I saw. And the coach just like put us to do a bunch of exercise, like push-ups, squat, jumping jacks, and then we did some fundamentals of jiu-jitsu such as hip escape, bridge, forward rolls, and then I knew how to do those because I had 2 years of aikido. So then
Mm-hmm.
the fundamental was quite similar. I think the coach saw that the professor saw that I was able to do the fundamentals, and then maybe he thought, like, oh, this guy already trained. So my first day, I already spar, I already roll. Different than other people that started jiu-jitsu because they got smashed and they felt like, oh, I need to learn this. I didn't have that, because of course I got smashed, but I don't remember this. I just remember that like this medal is from this guy. Oh, this guy had this medal. This guy got this medal. It's like, okay, maybe this is the place where I can get my medal. So then I told the coach like, my birthday is next week, so I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna ask my mom if she can give me this the membership as a birthday gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to my mom, so she paid. She came to the gym and she paid the fee. I remember until today it was like about like 35 ringgit. Like 2 weeks later, I joined my first competition. I had no idea what I was doing, but I asked the professor if I could compete because he was like asking people, "Hey, do you want to compete? What's your weight? You want to compete?" I was like, "Hey, can I?" I was like, "Yeah, put your name." So he was very good, but he was like a father, for me. But he didn't have much education, so he was
Mm-hmm.
very tough, like very very tough. Like sometimes like, he said, "Do this." It's like how? It's like I don't know, figure it out yourself. That was the answer he would give it to me.
Figure.
Then in that competition, there was just like I only had one opponent. So I
Mm-hmm.
lost like very fast. The guy grabbed me, he like did like Seoi Nage and then Amba. And then I tapped. It was 30 seconds, maybe less. So then, okay, and then I went back to the crowd and then I heard they calling my name. Hey, to the podium, second place, Bruno Cardoso. But I was like, what do you mean podium? So when I go to the podium, I receive a second place. I receive a medal, a silver medal, and just like, that's it. Oh my God, I got second place, I got second place. And then the medal shows like, so that was like in November of 19, and I'm just like, wow. So I was going to my relative's house and just show the medal. See, I'm second place in jiu-jitsu, I'm silver medalist in jiu-jitsu. So the dream that I had of stepping on the podium and receiving medal, it happened in just 2 weeks after I started the new sport. And then I was like, okay, I want next, I want next, I want the next one. Then I tried the next one, another second place. Then I tried the third one, another second place. And then I went to another event. I fought like a bigger kid, and then I got a gold medal. So it
Mm.
was very like a underground tournament. You know, like the score was like writing down the paper, so you cannot see the scoreboard. And all I did like close guard, cross choke, and I won by referee decision. That was my first gold medal ever. You know, that's how
Oh wow,
things
that's
started. You know,
amazing.
yeah,
It's amazing. I mean, like you mentioned, it was this whole dream to be a part of the podium because you're really inspired to see like athletes standing on the podium as heroes. I even saw something on your Facebook where you actually tattooed, like you have a new tattoo
yeah.
for
It's
like the
it's
IBJJF logo.
yeah, it's that one. Yeah,
Yep, there it is.
it's the World Championship logo. See ya.
There you go. That's the gold plate. Olympians would tattoo the Olympic rings, and you would tattoo the logo. So from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, I mean, you were competing, you were coaching already at the time in Brazil, or what was your steps between Brazil coming over to Malaysia? I think was it like 10 years ago?
Yeah, this year I think it would be 12 years ago. Was 2013 when I first came. Yeah, I was teaching in a social project in Brazil. I had like 60 unprivileged kids that I used to teach free of charge. But then I couldn't support myself, you know, like, and then it was very hard to help those kids where we had like no zero to no money
Mm-hmm.
to help them. We we need like we had to rely on donations, you know, like from politicians. And sometimes when in politics get involved, so it's very hard. We had like funds coming from some politicians, but then we had another politician that support like provide some G's. So the
Mm-hmm.
politician that was providing my salary, he didn't like it, so he cut the funds, and it became like, see, between competition between politicians. So a friend of mine, he had the gym, so he provided space for us to train, and I used to train like 30 kids in the morning, 30 kids in the afternoon. And then it's something that I did a little documentary back in Brazil in April when I went to Brazil this year. And then I talk about something that I regret. I will regret for my whole life was to. I don't regret the life that I have. I don't regret coming to Malaysia. I what I regret is the fact that I left those boys behind. And
Mm-hmm.
then because I had to, I had no other option. You know, I mean, maybe I had an option, but my option would be look for another job, and maybe I wouldn't be able to give them the same attention that I was giving full time because I had a family, and then I had a family to provide for, and I had those 60 kids that they relied on me to teach them a different path
Mm-hmm.
as I was taught, right? It's a bit hard to talk about that, but because the thing is, when I left the project, and then I came to Malaysia. I had a couple after a few months. I had a couple moms texting me, and they they asked for help because some of their kids end up in jail. And then I blame myself for I think I'm gonna blame myself for the rest of my life because of that. Because if I was there, maybe I would be able to still watch those guys and take care of them. But I ended up like pursuing my dream, which was to teach outside Brazil. And then because of me, the boys they end up someone stronger capture them to do bad things, you know. So now I have like 3 or 4 of them that got caught in jail for committing some crimes, you know. Like, so, and I always carry this with me. Like, if I was there, this wouldn't have happened because I was always, hey, come here, hey, come here, hey, we have a competition, hey, you should be training, hey, what are you doing, you know, like, why? So some end up like drinking,
Mm-hmm.
others are like using drugs and other robbery. It was hard. That's the reality of the kids. This is my reality. And I only had like three whole models, like that I could follow. Imagine like there are five bad examples around you. I grew up with those
Yeah.
guys, but those bad examples that I grew up with, I'm talking about uncles, cousins, close friends, childhood friends that we grew up together. But they grew up, they follow different paths. So it was
Mm-hmm.
normal for me to see what they are doing. But my mom
Mm-hmm.
told me one thing: you know what is right and what is wrong. If you go to jail, forget that I'm your mom because you know what is right, you know what is wrong. So because of that, I was always afraid of getting into trouble because of my
Mm-hmm.
mom, because of what she told me, right? But don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. So I was always tempted to
Mm-hmm.
try to go to the other side because I felt that how hard it was to stay on the right path.
Yeah.
And then because of that, sometimes it's quite challenging. And then you see that those guys have easier and maybe
Yeah.
like fun way out of achieving things. And then what I'm struggling here. So many times I thought myself like, but maybe if I start selling drugs, my life will be easier. And then a couple of times I went to a friend's house and just like, hey, look at the gun I got. And then I remember holding a gun for the first time like this in my hand and just my shaking. It was like, if my mom sees this, I'm dead. If my mom sees this, I'm dead. So I was just like, nah, I put it away. I never had the guts to do it. But many times it
Yeah.
crossed my mind, like, oh, what if I go to this life? These guys are enjoying, they're getting away with that, like, and while I'm here struggling to survive, while I'm struggling to do this, struggling to achieve things, struggling to make ends meet. So then I just embraced many opportunities that I had, but it was always like hard work. Like going to the gym to train was challenging. I was talking to three friends, old friends. One now is teaching jiu-jitsu in Germany. The other one is teaching in Portugal. We all came from the same background, and we had like we had a group chat, and then we called each other on Tuesday, and we were
Okay.
laughing because we remember the times how hard it used to be. We just knew that I have to keep doing, like, and then I don't know, maybe it happened tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year. We don't know. We just kept going. So I remember going to the gym. We had to walk 1 hour and a half to train, and then our breakfast was like a bread with butter and a cup of coffee. And then to the gym, and then we train for 1 hour, and then we have to walk 1 hour and a half back to our house, shower, go to work. Because if you spend money to pay for the bus to go to the gym, in the end, I cannot pay for the bus to go to work because there's not enough money left, right? So we had to deal with those things. Like that was the only way. We didn't think that, oh, it's hard or it's very hard, I
Mm-hmm.
cannot do it. So when people ask me like, how did you do
Mm-hmm.
this? And it's like we didn't think if, oh, should I do or should I just stay home? We just know we have to go. We didn't. I think nobody asked questions like that. Like if you should I keep going or should I keep doing? We just did. So and then eventually in 2012, I went to São Paulo to a competition called World Cup, and then I met like four French guys, and one of them could barely speak Portuguese. So then this is my way of joking around, always being like very playful. So we ended up like getting close. So we spent 4 days in São Paulo for this tournament. And then I remember my friend and I, we only had money. So all 4 days we went for a world competition, World Cup. For 4 days, our lunch and our dinner was hot dog, because that's all we could afford. So we had one hot dog for lunch and one hot dog for dinner, and then for the breakfast, we bought a loaf of bread, and then we just share that loaf of bread with a bottle of yogurt, and that had to last four
Mm-hmm.
days. So then we met these French people. So then we became friends, whatever. And then in 2000, yes, 2008. So in 2012, one of them texted me on Facebook, and he said, "Oh, my friend is opening a gym in Malaysia. He's looking for a black belt. I already spoke to him about you, like, and then if you want, it's yours." And then I didn't speak English at that time, so he wrote me
Mm-hmm.
in Portuguese. And then I was like, oh, yeah, okay, so good. And then he gave me the email of Monarchy's owner. So then I sent him my resume. So I asked a friend of mine to translate my
Mm-hmm.
resume.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he never asked me if I speak English or not. So I just wrote.
Uh-huh.
I know that I had to send in English, so I just sent my resume in English. But I kept asking like, "Hey, have you chosen the coach?" And then he kept saying, "Not yet, not yet, not yet." But I was always like chasing him to see if he chose already. He said, "No, we're still receiving a couple of CVs of resumes, so we'll let you know soon." And then one day I'm teaching class
Mm-hmm.
in this fitness gym. It was Saturday morning. So my phone rang, and that was this very big number that I haven't seen before. And then that was him. He's like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm the owner of Monarchy. So I just want to let you know that we chose you." And I'm just like, I don't get it. I no. I just like, what, what, what? Because the gym was noisy. That was like having like there was going on like some fitness, some spinning class going on. So it was very loud. So then I hang up. I was teaching no gears, like, guys, you guys can do whatever you want. So I chose one of my students, like Douglas. He had a car. I was like, bro, I need you to drive me home right now. He's like, what happens? Like, I don't know. You just need to drive me home, like, because I have to receive a call and I can't receive it here. So and then he drove me home. I remember I put my phone on the table and I just sat down and just wait, like, and I closed the
Oh,
window. I fed the dog just to make sure there was no noise. And then when he called again, I still remember he said, "Oh, we just want to let you know that we chose you." And I'm just like, "What?" He's like, "We chose you." And I'm just like, "Man, chose." I say, "Oh, thank you, thank you." So I kept the conversation through texting, but I didn't understand when people talk to me.
mm-hmm.
So we start talking through email and Facebook, and then I was always, of course, translating whatever he wrote. And he sent me the flight tickets and stuff. So when I arrived in Malaysia in 2013, then we realized that I didn't speak English at all. Wow, okay, I don't understand anything. And then I think by the look at his face, he got mad at me. Like say, I remember the next day after I arrived, he said, "You don't speak English," and I was just like, he said, "Yeah, then you're gonna have to learn." So then I like 2 days later, I called my wife. I was crying, like, and I'm just like, I think I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home. She's like, "Nah, you're not coming back. That's what you always wanted. So now you have to figure it out." And I'm just like, I can't stay here. I don't understand what they say. It's so hard. That was just in 3 days, and she's like, "Nah, you're not coming back. Don't come back." So yeah, and then eventually I found some friends who forced me to learn. 'Cause
You literally had like zero understanding of English speaking
yeah,
at
yes,
the time.
yes,
I mean, now
it
it's
was
totally
hard.
different. Like,
Now I'm a legend. Now,
you definitely are. You definitely are. But I love what you shared just now. I mean, from you sharing that your mom was, kind of like your North Star. Like she kept you straight on the right path. And I love what you said, about like having to make choices. That's life, right? The life that we have today is the result of the choices that we made in the past. And it's great to see that I know your wife and I know your mom are both, these women are very strong, how you say, strong role models, strong
yeah.
purpose in your life, which is amazing. And I relate so much what you said just now about going through the hardship when people ask, oh, so hard what you're going through. But yeah, you don't think. That's the choices that you made and you figure it out. And you see people doing things that are easy, but you chose to do the hard things. Like what made you stay doing the hard things?
Back when I started, it was like this. Like you become a world champion as a black belt, and after black belt, you go to MMA to make money. So that
Hmm.
was that's the route. So there was no money in jiu-jitsu. Nobody ever talked about money in jiu-jitsu. The money was in
Even in
MMA.
MMA last time.
Yeah, the money was in MMA, but we didn't know the reality because you only see the Pride, the Pride FC in Japan, the UFC, some international events, and then that's the only reference we have. But then we start meeting with some friends that, like close friends, they go to MMA. Before their first fight, they are selling tickets. On the same night of their fight, they're outside selling tickets instead of just like sit down,
Yeah.
chill, relax, because like in a couple of minutes they're going to enter the cage. No, the guy's outside selling tickets because that's his pay. So he's gonna be paid based on as much tickets he sells. But so we always had this like, no, I need to do this until I'm a black belt. I need to do this until I'm a black belt. So I need to. So I think that was the black belt was the north star, the guideline, the point, the goal. So it was like, oh, when I get a black belt, things like will magically change, like. So and I still remember that I was from purple belt until brown belt. I was working in a supermarket. That was like from 2002 to 2006. Okay, I'm working in a supermarket. And then I will always tell the guys, but while I was doing that, I was competing as well. So my first world championship was in 2004 on a Friday, which is like is the most one of the busiest day in the supermarket. So I didn't go to work just to go and compete, like, so I almost lost my job. But then I just was just doing whatever I had to do because I knew that somehow when I get to the black belt, things would magically change for me. So I used to tell my friends at work, they're like, bro, I'm gonna do this until I get black belt only, man. I'm just gonna do this until I get black belt. So I'm unloading like trucks, like 100 kilo of potato bags, box of apples, because I used to work with fruits and vegetables. But I was so skinny that the manager said, "Oh, I think we're gonna fire Bruno because he's too small. He cannot take this job." But then one of the guys said, "No, no, he's very disciplined. He can do this. He can do this. Trust me." So that was the guy who helped me to stay in the supermarket. And then I told him, "Bro, I'm just gonna do this until I'm black belt. Like after I get black belt, I can do a lot of stuff. I can go to the United States. I'm gonna teach outside Brazil." That was the vision, Like, but there was no clear plan. It was just like, no, when I get black belt, it's almost like everything will happen to me. But then when I got to the black belt, guess what? I'm still working in the supermarket. So it didn't change, nothing happened. But I was always like, okay, now I'm a black belt. I have to win something big. So then I started
Mm-hmm.
going to high level tournaments, but I'm not a high level athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a full time athlete. I work in the supermarket and I compete on the weekends. When I have a Sunday off, then I compete. Like. Then I remember I managed to get a sponsorship on one supermarket that I used to work. So the way they sponsored me was to give me a day off to compete. That was the sponsorship. So
Mm-hmm.
I have like their brand in my gi like so big, but all I got was a day off, just to go and compete. So they wouldn't deduct from my salary. That's all. And then and like I used to read a lot, and I see the black belts, some Brazilian black belts. They go outside, they go to the other countries, teach jiu-jitsu. So I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. So that's why I kept doing, I kept doing, kept doing. And then after I got black belt, it was like it didn't take long until I start teaching jiu-jitsu full time. So I got black belt in 2007, and then 3 years later, my friend opened up a gym,
Yeah.
and then he asked me if I want to teach in his gym. But then before that, I remember I think in 2009, I left the supermarket. I told my wife like, as I met my wife in 2009, we moved in like quite fast. In 3 months, we already living together. So I told her, look, it was funny because we almost didn't didn't go. Our first date almost didn't happen because we were talking like through SMS, but we never seen each other in person. We actually 7 years before we met, I saw her we work in the same supermarket. So I saw her and I'm just like, wow, she's so beautiful. But then she was engaged. She already had a boyfriend or whatever. And then just like, oh, okay, anyways. And then fast forward 7 years later, we met through like some social media, some chat on the internet. So then when she sent me her picture, I was like, I know you. She's like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I know you. I work with you in this supermarket in 2002. I know you. You have this guy. This guy was your husband, whatever, whatever. It's like, no, I'm single now. And then we start talking, talk. And then she's like, okay, let's meet up on this Sunday. I was like, yes. And then eventually, oh, sorry, I cannot because there's a jiu-jitsu competition. And then we kept like that for 3 Sundays, for 3 weeks. No, I can't. No, I can't. So on the fourth Sunday, She's like, hey, can we meet? And I'm just like, oh yes, we can. So when we finally met for the first time, after we talk, we joke around, we finally saw each other face to face, and she's like, oh, you were lucky, And I said, why? Because like that was your last chance. It was like, okay, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. But then I explained to her, that's my life, I'm a black belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually like, things didn't work so well. We moved in, and we rent a house, and now we're living together. So then I had to stop teaching whatever I was teaching to go to supermarket again. So then one time I just say, can I quit this job and try to teach jiu-jitsu again? She's like, yeah, you try, and I support you. We try for a while, see how it works. Then I was working on this gym. The membership was
Yeah.
about 40 ringgit, and then like for me, 20 for the owner a month. 3 classes a week, and I only had 2 students. And I remember that was the RGF was organizing the first um, Rio Open. It was the first Rio Open in 2009. So I
Wow.
wanted to pay, but I didn't have money to pay. So my wife paid for me. That was my sponsorship. you know. So I went. It was a good event. I beat a guy who was like a bronze medalist in the world championship, and I'm just a random guy who just showed up. But I beat this guy by 14-4, 14-2 or something. And I was like, man, I can be good.
That was the first
Yeah,
IBJJ.
yes. Now they have like many opens, right? Like recently we had the KL Open. So all these opens. So the first open was in Rio, 2009. It's called Rio International Open. And then after that, a lot of like many opens around the world.
I love how you mentioned that, Fabiana has been very supportive. I mean, like you said, she's your
Yes.
first sponsor for your competition piece. And all this while, like, until today, you have been like actively competing, not just like regional, but international as well, all while still being a coach. Right now, you're coaching in Hikari, right? And I really admire that about you because it's not easy. A lot of people just want to focus when they compete. They just focus on competition, but you're balancing between being an athlete, chasing your own dreams, and also as a coach, guiding your students, competing and reaching their dreams. That's not, that's really not an easy thing to do. So maybe you can share how do you personally balance between pursuing your own jujitsu dreams, your own jujitsu goals, and coaching, supporting your students' goals as well.
Yeah, I believe a lot in leading by example. So I can't ask them to do stuff that I'm not willing to do. And I know the stress that is to step on the mat, to put your name in the competition is really stressful. I've already passed out in warm-up areas due to adrenaline before the fight. I was so tense, so stressed out that I passed out. And then I couldn't fight. So I just kept doing again and again and again and again and again until those feelings doesn't go away. You just learn to identify with is which. This is adrenaline. This is anxiety. Or I'm overthinking. So I use competition to help me mentally. Like back
Right.
then, I didn't have many things. I didn't have how to say. I couldn't afford normal things. Like my mom never asked me, "What do you want to eat for dinner?" No, this is your food. This is what you have. This is what we have for today. And then we were always very grateful. And now, doing jiu-jitsu in the competition makes me pushing myself and make me it show me that I can be stronger, that I can be better, that I can improve. Like so. And I lost many times in the most I don't know like shameful ways. Like ways that if I could delete from my mind, I would delete. First time I took Fabiana to watch me compete, I got choke put to sleep. So I have like some embarrassing moments in competition. Some even on YouTube. But those things, like whatever happened afterwards, was something that like, wow, it's bigger and more. So then, oh, that's nice. So almost like I forgot what happened previously. So basically, jiu-jitsu competition for me was like a mirror of life in a safe space. Example, I can make as many mistakes as he needs, and I will always have a second chance to try and make it better. Sometimes in life, you don't have that much options. You cannot make many mistakes in life. You just like one mistake, you out. And I think kept doing that kind of grows something so strong in my mind that make me go through whatever happened to me. So that I use competition personally through that. Some people they don't do well in competition, and I totally understand. I don't force people to compete. I encourage them to like try one time. Then you let me know. I hate it or I love it, and then it's really up to you. But just try one more time because sometimes all we need is just safe, sort of saying, safe challenges that put us out of comfort zones, and then balancing this while I'm teaching. And it's because everybody else does. All the other black belts from
Mm.
the past that I used to watch, they do both. They bring their team. I remember that I seen guys back when I was purple belt. I saw this guy. He had like a 30 plus student, and then he was competing as well. And then back then it was like this: white belt first, blue belt second. So the black belt would fight like 8 p.m., 10 p.m. So this guy, after spending the whole day, because we don't go to the competition like on the time of my fight. We had no schedule. We didn't even know if you're gonna have fights or how many fights you're gonna have. You only find out when you arrive at the venue. So everybody goes like arrive at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and then you leave when the event finish. So
Mm.
and many events finish like 11 p.m. at that time. So many times I was like, we arrived at the tournament at 8 a.m. My fight was 8 p.m. My first fight as a purple belt was 8 p.m. But I arrived at 8 a.m. And this like
Mm.
cannot have lunch, you cannot eat because you have to make weight, right? It was not hard. We just do. We don't think
Mm.
that it's hard. Because that
Mm.
was that was the reality. There was nothing better. So when someone
Mm.
came with a schedule, which was IBGF started implementing schedule, and then we just like, oh, I'm gonna fight at this time. So that's why we never ask like, oh, why do you teach and train? How do you teach and train? How do you teach and compete? Because I saw while I was coming up, I saw those guys doing back in the past. So then, okay, I just do, you know. So I teach my students and I train myself. Sometimes I have to prioritize them. Sometimes I don't train. If, for example, I need to be professional as well, because I'm paid to teach class. I'm not paid to compete. I'm not paid to be an athlete.
Mm.
Competing and train is my passion, but I'm here to
Mm.
guide someone else. I'm here to teach someone else. So sometimes I see the class is too crowded. There's no space for me to train, like, so then I
Mm.
have to be a coach. I have to protect people because maybe since there's a lot of people, some accident might happen. So I have to be watching them. I have to step back and watch the class and be a coach. It's just balancing this,
Mm.
like, oh, today there's a lot of experienced guys, so I can train today. But here, my students, we separate the classes, so we have beginners class, we have advanced class, so it's pretty okay for me to train. And then if sometimes I have to show something that I really need them to learn, so then I step out so I
Yeah.
can observe from the outside. So yeah, it's just like, oh, today I can, today I cannot, based on what I have
Yeah.
planned for the class, like. But when I prepare for competition, even them, they say, no, you train, do your thing. You have to prepare, you have to compete. So they also motivate me a lot, And I see like how supportive my students are. Even when I was back in the other gym, and now that I'm here, the people are very, very supportive, they, even though I am the head coach, I'm the coach, they still, when I compete, I see in their face, how proud they am. And then when I come back here, the amount of love that they show me is something that makes, yeah, it pays off, like everything that I do, all this struggle. I developed post competition depression that I talked about
Mm.
last year. It's not something people talk about a lot, but I was experiencing that, especially like going to Las Vegas to the World Championship. The cost pretty high. You train a lot. There's a lot of pressure in the back. It's the biggest competition for masters. Right? It's the
Mm.
biggest tournament in the world for people over 30 years old.
Mm.
That when I lost three times by on the quarterfinal. So I come back quite frustrated. I understand because all three times I lost to like former world champions. So I didn't use that as an excuse. That just showed me that, oh, only this guy beat me, and by only 2-0. And last year I lost to a guy who was 6-time IBJJF world champion, and I lost by referee decision.
Mhm.
So I was like, man, I think I can do this, like, but I still cannot do it. So whenever I come back, when I don't have a training camp, when I
Yeah.
don't have a next goal, my life is miserable in my head. Like inside
Okay.
here is like me going on a war with myself. I don't want to train because I'm pretty exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted. I try to train. I try to keep try to keep the image of like, I'm tough, I'm strong, I'm a black belt. But inside
Mhm.
is hell.
Mhm.
I wrote down on my Instagram uh, about it. People don't give much attention because they see the goals, they see you winning, they see you hardcore, tough coach. But sometimes inside here, it's not healthy, like it's destroyed. Also, I started to blame. I was started thinking about retirement because companies doing more harm than good
Mhm.
for me. That's how I felt. But basically, and then I started speaking to some psychologists. That first time I felt that was in
Mhm.
2019.
What was the thoughts, the pieces that you had in your mind in 2019 that caused like,
Yeah,
during the
I
post
came back from the
competition?
yeah I came back from the competition in Las Vegas, and so I was training really hard, like so everything was like dialed up like to 11, like so I was training 2 3 times a day, lifting weights, cutting weight, and everything was like, yeah, good, good, good. And then after the competition, when I arrived back in Malaysia, it was like this,
Mm.
the stillness, like, there was nothing going on.
Yeah.
I don't have to train anymore. Competition already passed. So first week is fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna chill, I'm gonna rest. Second week, and I'm like this now.
Mm.
Third week, and I'm just like, and then I start after 3 weeks, body ache, injuries popping up here and there, and I have no motivation or energy to train. I'm in my gi, but I'm like living or behaving like I'm 80 years old.
Mm.
I have energy to teach class, but I don't want to do jiu-jitsu. I don't want to spar. I don't want to train. And my students, they start like, hey, what's going on? Why are you not training? Hey, what's going on? I said, nah, it's okay. I'm just chilling. I'm lying. I'm miserable
Mm.
because there's no purpose. I don't feel like training. And now that I've been resting for 3 weeks, I don't know
Mhm.
what to do. I'm out of shape. Now for
Mhm.
me to get back on the mat, it's hard because my lungs will burn. I'm out of shape. I'm slow. I'm sluggish. So, and then all the injuries that start to appear is because my body is kind of deteriorating because it's getting weaker because I'm not strengthening anymore.
Mm.
And I'm eating all sort of craps, all the things that I shouldn't be eating, sugary stuff and the fat stuff. Like I'm doing all the wrong things. And then because there was no, I think that because there was no other go,
Mm.
I was just falling into that trap. So then I spoke to a friend of mine who was a sports psychologist, and she said it's like the air balloon. Like you prepare for competition, so you inflate, 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 inflate. When you get to the goal, to the target, you have to deflate.
Mhm.
You have to bring it down again. If not, you're gonna
Mhm.
pop.
Mhm.
So she said, try something good, try something different, because you're not. It seems like you're not having fun anymore. It became an obligation. It's not fun. So
Mhm.
that's why I accept a super fight with a guy who was 12 kilo heavier than me in Copa at that time. That was my first time actually competing in Malaysia. So basically, for that fight, because she said do no gi, maybe I play football, play different sport. Like just to
Mhm.
get you out of jiu-jitsu or make your body make you miss jiu-jitsu. So then there was this fight that this guy's supposed to fight my friend, but he was too heavy, and my friend pulled out. Then he said, "Why don't you fight?" And then that triggered something in me because I had no
Mhm.
competition planned and I was not training. So
Mhm.
so the competition in Las Vegas was like end of August. So that and then until October I was not training. And that competition was in November. I think it was November 2nd, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So then I didn't train at all. So that was a way for me to like challenge myself. I just stepped on the mat to fight this guy who was around 12 kilo heavier than me, maybe more, because he's actually big. And then I won the fight. That was my first fight in Malaysia, and I remember that was like the whole mall was like Bruno, 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 and I was just like, wow,
It
this is
feels
so
good
good.
again.
Yes, and then I was like, I guess I'm back. So then
Mm-hmm.
in 2024, it happened again, but now I kind of knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
The same feelings, like the same mental breakdown that I had for losing a competition and nothing and having nothing to look forward to. So in 2025, I'm back in competition again, and then I accept this super fight on a cage with a week notice. I won. Then I go to Brazil. I was telling the guys here that I'm gonna go try. I'll try my best to get a third place, a bronze medal, because I never got a medal at Brazilian nationals, which was pretty tough. And then I come back with a silver medal. So I was like, wow, that was amazing. I had no idea that I would be able to make to the final. And then because
Mm-hmm.
like in Brazil it's like this, if you reach to the podium of a Brazilian national, if you reach to the final, or if you win Brazilian nationals, everybody thinks starts saying like, this guy's the next world champion. So in the IBJF Brazilian nationals, if you win Brazilian national, there's a high chance you're gonna win world championship. That's how the level is. So I go to the final and I lose in the final by 2-0 by the same guy who beat me in the year before, in 2024 in the World Masters. So then everybody started texting me like, bro, you have to go to Las Vegas. You have to go to Las Vegas. I was like, bro, I'm not going to Las Vegas this year because it's very bad for me, mentally speaking, and financially as well. And I don't think I have the means to go to this event this time. But there was so many people, and you have no idea. So many people saying, bro, I know I have this feeling, man. I think you can do it. I think you can do it. Look what you did in Brazil. So let's see, let's see, let's see. So then we go to Japan. I go to Japan, and then after 4 matches, I won the Asia Championship for the second time. So then I'm more excited. So then when I come back, I have to decide if I'm gonna go to Las Vegas or not. So I had a friend who's like keep bugging me, like, hey bro, you go, you go. I sponsor you, but you go. I have this feeling that you're gonna win this time. So that's Professor Fang. Shout out to Professor Fang. He said, man, your dream is my dream. If you win, I feel that I'm gonna win. So if I have the means to help a friend, I'm gonna help a friend. And I think you have to do. Don't worry about anything. I just want you to go and compete. That's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. So then we just kept like, okay, let's see, let's see, let's see. And then he finally convinced me. And some of my students, no, you have to go, you have to go. People from all the gyms, the guys from Fat Cat, my students here, the guys from MBJJ, texting me saying like, those are like our competitors' gym here, but those guys
Yeah.
are like, they show so much love that that's why I don't believe that there is like a whatever drama they talk about. Some people say that it exists in Malaysia, bad blood or whatever. I don't feel that honestly, because everybody here they treat me so well. So I remember Nini from Fat Cat, he texted me like, bro, I need to tell you this, because before I go to the World Masters, he said, every time you post something, I have this weird feeling that you're gonna go through this time. You really can do it. And I was like, man, I'm gonna try my best. I still have his message. And
Mm.
then I have another guy who texted me, he's like, man, I think you can do it. I think you can do it. So funny enough, I went to a gym in Arizona, purebred in Arizona for a seminar. So when they did my poster, the person who did the design, they when they post on Instagram, they say, oh, you're gonna have Professor Bruno from Hikari. Professor Bruno is a world champion in Jiu-Jitsu, blah blah blah. I was like, that's wrong. I'm not a world champion. So then I texted the guys like, I'm sorry, someone made a mistake. I need you to add the post because they post that I'm a world champion, and but I'm not a world champion. And then he said, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna tell the lady who did the post. So then I texted her, like personally, I was like, I'm sorry, you made a mistake. I'm not a world champion. She said, no, yes, you are a world champion. You are champion around the world. So I'm gonna keep the way it is because you are coming to compete the world championship anyways. And it's like, no, but that's gonna be embarrassing because people will see that you are like, like example like me posting that I'm saying that I'm a world champion, but when I'm not. I don't know. I'm afraid that people just start making fun of me or saying Bruno is lying. He's promoting himself as a world champion when he's not a world champ.
Get it?
She said, "No, I'm not gonna." Yeah, she said, "I'm not gonna change a thing." When I roll with a black belt there in Arizona, and after the roll, it's like, "Oh man, you confirm I'm gonna be world champion." And it's like, ah, man, I don't know how to handle this. This is a week before I compete, like.
Mm.
Fast forward a week later on Friday, I after 5 matches, 3 submissions, uh, I become a world champion masters, and then so good.
Yeah. It's so inspiring. Like you're saying that, you get people from around you. I mean, inside your people, they know that you're battling so much in your mind. And then you have people, you yourself, you're like telling that lady, please change this. I'm not a world champion, but people are there believing in you. And I think like it happens for a lot of successful people, right? Like sometimes even the most highest rank, like you're a world champion, you've competed for years and you still have that I don't know, sometimes that self doubt. We still battle self doubt, even as like world class athletes. But it means so much for people to believe in you. And it's really inspiring. It just shows how much we can't work alone and that we have to work with other people. So I think that's a great story and great example that you shared. So we know your journey. It comes from a place that you felt like kind of darkness for you, but you had to win through that in order to finally go to, LA. You were sponsored and win that championship. Now, as a coach yourself, and you're still coaching at Hikari, what's that philosophy that you adopt when it comes to teaching jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think now I was able to prove to people that you can become something coming from nothing. Like coming from very little as I came from, but I have so many angels around me that brought me to where I am today. And some of them are with me today, until today, like. So as you said, you cannot do everything alone. Like sometimes you just, I know I have to do that. Of course, I have to do the work, but there will be people
Hmm.
around me who's gonna help me, like who's gonna give me a helping hand to reach to where I need to, I want to go. And I try to show this is my way to show them. I always try to post videos or pictures of where I come from, or talk where I come from, the way I was taught jiu-jitsu, which is totally different than the way it is today. But I show to my students that like it is possible, like, and then I'm the living proof of it. Like I never thought I was gonna be a world champion. And honestly, I was talking to these guys. I talked to sports psychologists. I did mental training. I have a friend that I follow who's a mental coach, and in any moment I could see myself in the first place. I could visualize myself. I don't know. It's not that I didn't try. I didn't think of it. I remember when I won the bronze medal, when I was guaranteed my spot on the podium, which I was kept losing in quarterfinal, and I finally won the quarterfinal. So and I finally bringing the medal back to Malaysia for the first time. So not the first medal because you already have champions before in the World Masters, but not as a black belt. So I felt like, oh, I finally secured the medal, like for my own achievement and for Malaysia as well as a black belt. And then um, in my head, it was just like, yeah, finally bronze medal. And then immediately like, no, bronze medal is not enough. His voice said, what about second place? And I was like, oh, second place is better. Then I go there and I beat the semifinal. Now I'm in the final. So second place is guaranteed. And I remember that I injured my foot on the semifinal. So I texted Prof Fang like, Prof, I injured my foot. And he said, how bad is it? I cannot turn my foot. I popped with a toe hold. I was not giving up, but he came in, it's like, that's your mind playing tricks. That's your mind playing tricks. Don't give up. Don't give up. You still have one more fight. I was like, no, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm fine. But I'm just telling you that if I cannot move in the final, if I cannot move normally, I'm just telling you, I'm just an update of my condition. And they said, no, Prof, you can do this, man. So this guy believed me so much that I told him the medal is more yours than mine, like, because of so much. I remember when I lost in 2023, he's like, we almost there. So what do you mean we almost there? I lost again. 2024, I lost. Bro, we almost there. We can do it. I saw it. You can do it. You can do it. In 2025, he's there with me again. And then he said, now I'm in the final. And he's just like, you can do it. Just one more. Just one more. And then I'm just like, he said, stay with me. That's why he kept saying, stay with me. Stay with me. And then he did a beautiful job as a coach, like cornering me, even like speaking some words in Portuguese, telling me what to do in Portuguese. And I'm just like listening to him the whole time. And just because he knows my game, he trains with me. So he knows what I like to do. Everything works beautifully. So then I go to the final. So I didn't check none of my opponents, like I only find out who they are when we walk into the mat, like, and that gave me some peace of mind, like that, to don't be worried about what they play or what they do. So then after competition, I check all of them, and they all like big names. So the guy that I beat in the final, he's the number one in the ranking. He's the number one in the world in the IBJJF ranking, in featherweight. But yeah, he's the number one. He was the number one in the ranking, and I was number 15 at that time. I remember I was number 26 when I went to Japan. Well, because I won in Brazil. I got second place in Brazil. Then I jumped to number 26 because Japan, Brazil competition is quite high level, so it gives you a lot of points. And then in Japan, I won, so I bumped to 15. And then I go to the final. I won by 6-4. And then I'm a world champion now, I guess. And then now I'm number two in the ranking,
That's awesome. So you were saying
Yeah.
Professor Plan has been like there for you, like you said, your win feels more like his win, right?
Yeah, I,
Just
I, I
feels like
texted I texted him last week. I texted him last week. That's
uh
what I told him. I say I believe this medal is more yours than mine. I think I just went and fought, but you were the one who believed in since 2019 because I don't know what you saw in me, and I think if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be there.
that's awesome. I mean, like it's really important. Just shows like how important, even like as world class athletes, you still need coach to guide you. But like you were saying that you're battling all these self doubts and you have like people believing in you and telling you you got this, you got this. Like Professor Pan's like, you're now quarterfinal, you're gonna go semifinal. How do you, going through this journey, has that belief changed?
I think it's the and honestly, I never trained as hard as I did for anything in my life. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 26 years. October 27 is my jiu-jitsu anniversary, 26 years. And I trained for this competition. You have no idea. I used to wake up, couldn't sleep, wake up 3 a.m., go to the gym, lift weights, 5, and then I teach my morning class, teach PT, teach more class, teach more PTs, give me like 5, 6 classes a day sometimes. But I'm awake since 3 a.m., like, and I did that for like 2 months. Like, and then this is my day.
Crazy.
So I think my sense of worth was so high. And then I do visualization. So it's funny because the night before I did like a 30 minutes visualization and I visualized myself finishing all 5 fights with loop choke. I got 4. So 3 ended up in the submission. The fourth one, so the first match it was 30 seconds. The second match was 2 minutes. So loop choke, loop choke. Third match, I got a loop choke, but because we went out of bound and it was so tight, so I couldn't continue. So I got 2 points out of it. So that's why we still count. So it's a 4-3 loop choke. In the semifinal, I got another loop choke. So there's the fourth loop choke. And then I was like, man, I got 4 loop chokes. So every time I look at my opponents, I was looking like this, like, I'm going to choke this guy next. I'm going to loop choke this guy next. So that's the only thing I kept saying, repeating to myself. And then in the final, the people keep shouting like, hey, be careful with the loop choke. Hey, Prof, be careful with the loop choke. Be careful with the loop choke. So people warning him. He knew. So he kept his head very high. So I didn't have a chance to catch him in the loop choke. But I used my lapel guard that I've been using for 8 years. It's already like old game already, but that's how I won the final.
Awesome. So you were saying that you visualize 30 minutes of visualizing how the match is going to be every day by loop choke. That's what you've been visualizing. And then it happened during competition time.
Yes. And those are the things
That's
that I
awesome.
didn't believe in the past, like the mental thing, uh, no, it's not. No, I have to go and fight. I have to go and fight. But then I see more and more. You see, I'm just acquiring, adding like more knowledge to. to my career, to my journey, that it's just being beneficial. So sometimes you listen to
Yeah.
these world champions saying that nutritionist is not good, it's a scam. Sports psychologist is a scam because John Danaher said so. So now nobody wants to go to a sports psychologist because John Danaher said so. There's a mistake, like sometimes those guys they say based on their reality. My reality is different.
Yeah.
So sports psychologists help me. Nutritionists played a big role in this because I hired a nutritionist. Shout out to Flavia, she's the best. So I've been able to look at what happened to me. Look at what happened this year in 2025. It's been the best year of my career. I won things that I never won before, and always deliver like beautiful and really good performances because I was well hydrated, I was well fed, I was eating the right thing between matches, and then she's there like a sergeant. I call her boss. So let's say, boss, yes, boss. How you feeling today? What did you eat? Yeah, Flavia's the best. She's so good.
I really like what you mentioned just now. When it comes to fight prep or competition prep, it's not just go grind hard. It's also, like you said, you believe in having a sports psychologist. It's the mindset preparation, it's the nutrition preparation. But
Yes,
I'm very interested in what you were talking about, the whole mindset, because like looking through your journey, like you said, you competed, you lost, you've had moments that you doubt yourself, and then you learn how to practice visualization to the point that even a competition day, you finish according to what you visualize. So maybe like a lot of people, especially very young competitors, they seem to think that, this whole mindset, like it's not that important and all they think about is just like technique training. Maybe you can share a
yes,
bit
yes, yes.
more about like aside from just visualization, what are the things that you prepare yourself mentally?
I like people like to watch instructionals, spend money on instructionals to learn the new trendy technique from this guy, and all this bunch of techniques just gonna make them confused when they don't know how to place properly in their own game, like on the things that they do. For me, I feel that I have to do what I need to do, like train my jiu-jitsu, do my work, prepare my technique, trust my coaches. So here I have my students, they give me feedbacks, and I have to be humble enough just because they're not black belt, they're not at my level when it comes to the belt, but they see something from the outside so they can help me with that. And then when I add a nutritionist, I listen to exactly what she says. A sports psychologist, they are professional in their area, so I listen to what they say. So sometimes people train so hard, but their mind is all over the place. They don't know how
Mm.
to figure out why they feel so nervous, why they anxious. They should be able to learn techniques to put everything inside their own box. And then you go, like, because I deal with anxiety, I deal with depression, I deal with post-competition depression, pre-competition, all the nerves, like the butterflies in the stomach, all those things. And then also, I'm scared of doing warm up and get out. Nah, I do my warm up. My warm up is my first match. I get out of my warm up, I'm exhausted. But then I have time for everything. So 1 hour before, I start my warm up. 20 minutes before my fight, I'm resting. I don't do anything anymore. I'm moving. I eat what I have to eat. Whatever my nutritionist tell me to eat, I eat. I do visual, maybe like a mentalize something that the coach says to mentalize, to visualize. I listen to the music that I like to listen to. Sometimes it's not like the hardcore song. Sometimes it can be like a gospel song. They're like a worship song that's very chill, but it keeps me in the zone, like, so this is what I do in my fight. And then when I go there, I just have to make sure that everything work out. I'm not saying like it's gonna work for everybody what I've been doing. But honestly, before I did all of that, it was not working at all. So now look, now I can say
Mm.
that I'm a world champion, like, and then all the things that I've done, all the things that I changed was to add and listen to professionals in different areas to benefit my career. And then the mental game,
That's
the mental
awesome.
aspect for me, as I said, like is the best.
So, as you mentioned just now in your own words, you say jujitsu is a mirror of lives. What's one lesson as someone who has practiced jujitsu for the longest time that really applies just as much outside of the mats?
It just keep showing up. Keep showing up. This is what we keep saying, right? Keep showing up. Eventually, it's gonna work. And then, honestly, for me, it's exactly the way it happens. I kept showing up, and then one day it happened. It took me 26 years to happen, but you see, it happened. And sometimes, like, okay, we need to learn like when to give up and when not to give up. And there are some times, like, of course, if you there's a knife here, they keep hitting. No, no, I cannot go this way. I might have to go this way. Listen to the people that went through that path. uh, look for
Mm,
help. There's always someone that knows
mm,
more than you know. That doesn't mean that they are better than you or you worth less. They just experience, they went through stuff before you went through. So they can guide you to don't go through those things that they already went through. So be humble, you know, and listen to other people and accept that you don't know everything, you don't control everything. Sometimes things will happen to you, and then you just have gonna have to face it. Jiu-jitsu is just a simulation of life. We have some bad
mm,
days on the mat, and then we come back tomorrow is gonna be another bad day, and you come back tomorrow is gonna the day after is gonna be another bad day, and then on the third day is gonna
mhm.
be a good day.
That's a great advice, actually. Don't be afraid to learn from other people, seek help, but also never giving up. So, like, as someone who has been you've trained MMA fighters, jiu-jitsu athletes, you're national coach for jiu-jitsu, which is amazing. Where do you see the direction for jiu-jitsu and martial arts happening here in Malaysia, especially in jiu-jitsu?
I think it's growing rapidly. I think the people here they are really united to make things happen. You know, like the teams they are trying to get more knowledge from the outside, from here, just bringing more knowledge, more bringing new people to come and teach seminars. So there's a lot of people learning and sharing their knowledge as well to grow each other's to grow the community.
That's awesome. I mean, especially we've seen IBJJF Open happening in Cal. I'm not sure if
That
that's
was
the first
beautiful.
time.
That was beautiful. It's the first time, and that's why I posted a picture like my first competition in Malaysia in 2013, and now we have IBJJF. I got a bit emotional when I saw that. It was just like, wow, yeah, it was
I
insane.
love it. Now, I will be actually organizing a tournament called Sub Showdown, which is happening in November. Jiu-Jitsu
Awesome.
in the city who are also, yeah, students under you as well. Where we want to try to encourage them, encourage people to actually start competing. This is one way to actually grow
Yes.
jiu-jitsu here in Malaysia. So what words of advice that you would give to them to encourage them to compete?
Support the community. That's all they have to do. Support the community. The community. If there's someone organizing competition, show up. Show up. Because that's what we need people, but to come together, you know.
Thanks so much. So I think that it's just about just starting, just competing and supporting the jiu-jitsu community because we do want to see
Yeah.
it grow. Professor Bruno, thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom with us.
Thank
You're
you
not
so
only
much,
a
Ed.
world
I really
champion.
appreciate it.
Thank you. I've known you for the longest time and you've always been very resilient, very inspiring, and it's a great message that you're sharing out there. So for those listening, if
Thank
you
you
want to
so
connect
much.
with Professor Bruno, you can find him coaching at Hikari MMA in KL,
Yes.
right? And follow him on social media as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor Bruno.
Thank you
Enjoy
so
your
much,
class.
Ed.